Joining us now for analysis is Leigh Bradberry, Associate Professor of Political Science from Cal State Northridge. Thanks so much for joining us, Professor.
Thank you for having me.
Let's first talk about the president's Asia trip. He's wrapping it up, and President Trump has touted trade agreements and talked tough on North Korea. How much substance do you think has come out of this long trip?
I think in terms of substance, one of the things that the American people wanted to see was a de-escalation in the rhetoric with North Korea. And other than the short and fat tweet, I think that we have seen that for the most part, which is a good thing. I also think in terms of substance, the American people wanted to see our president trying to form strong relationships with foreign leaders, which will help us in terms of our national security. That being said, in terms of trade, there is some criticism of the president that maybe he used language that was too conciliatory with China, because the fear is that he's signaled that we are going to acquiesce to China's desire to be the main power in the region, stepping back from the United States having an active role. There's also some concern, of course, with what happened yesterday with his comments about Putin, and at least initially indicating that he would take Putin's word over the word of his intelligence agencies. And that is, of course, very problematic. And I think for that reason, he decided to pull back from that a little bit, maybe not as unequivocally as some people would have liked to have seen. But that is something else that I think could have repercussions going forward.
Well, something else on the president's mind is tax reform. House leaders say they hope to vote on the tax bill next week. Are they really that close?
I think it's more likely that we would see something happen in the House as opposed to the Senate, because there's such a razor-thin margin in the Senate. And there's already been some grumbling among those swing senators that they might not be willing to vote for it in its present form. So let's be optimistic and assume that the House is going to pass something soon. I think even if the Senate acts, the devil won't be in the details. The devil will be in the conference committee and trying to reconcile the two bills. And that will be very important for Californians, because Republicans in the Senate, they don't have to worry about people from California taking it out on Republican senators from California, because there are none. But we do have plenty of Republican members in the House. And ultimately, if they decide to go forward and work these details out with the Senate, are they really going to eliminate property tax deductions? Are they really going to eliminate the mortgage interest deduction? Those are things that are of really significant interest to the voters of California. And if the Republican members of the House do that, I think they will owe the voters of California an explanation.
Let's move on to Alabama, the state Senate race there. And you are from Alabama, so you have a unique perspective on this. There are 3 new polls out in the Alabama Senate race. The surveys were done by Emerson, JMC Analytics, and Opinion Savvy. An average of the polls shows Republican Roy Moore with a 2-point edge. And prior to the allegations of Moore's sexual misconduct, he had a 5-point lead over Democrat Doug Jones. With accusations looming over the Alabama Senate race coming so close to the election, what do you think voters in Alabama are going to do?
Well, being from Alabama, I know that there are 2 really important forces in the state. One is football and the other is religion. And I think because of religion, Roy Moore's supporters are going to be very unlikely to abandon him. He is the 10 Commandments judge, after all. He defied federal law, both on the 10 Commandments monument and on the Supreme Court's decision on gay marriage. So I don't think that his supporters are going anywhere. I know that some polls show that there may be some good news for Doug Jones, but I think the problem for Doug Jones is math. In the Republican runoff, 260,000 voters voted for Roy Moore. That's about 100,000 more than voted in the entire Democratic primary. So for Doug Jones to win, I think that some of those Luther Strange voters are going to not just stay home, they can't just write in Luther's name, they're going to have to affirmatively vote for the Democrat. And I think that's highly unlikely. I mean, I'm open to being surprised, but I find it hard to believe that that many Republicans are going to check the box for the Democrat.
And Moore says he will be presenting evidence in his favor coming up, so we'll see what happens.
We will see.
Professor
Yes.
Bradberry, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate your analysis.